Matthew Cochrane from the International Red Cross joins me now from Geneva in Switzerland. It's been said that this operation now is more of a recovery effort more than rescue. Can we expect more survivors or not?
I think it's unlikely. I think the report that you just ran was a really good summary of the situation as we have it. I mean, the positive news yesterday that I received from colleagues on the ground was that 71 people had been rescued, pulled from debris. But I think that was in the initial hours of the disaster. But now it looks like the focus is on trying to recover the people who've been killed, and we really expect that number's going to climb in the coming hours and days.
Just how difficult, you've been told, are those conditions in Sierra Leone after those mudslides?
Well, I think the pictures that you've been showing tell the story, don't they? The access into some of these communities was already quite difficult in the normal rainy season, but three days of heavy rain sending hillsides washing through villages. Speaking to a colleague who spent most of yesterday at one of the worst affected sites, a site called Racecourse on the eastern outskirts of Freetown, he just described just a sea of mud, a field of mud. You could really, it was difficult to make out where the village had been or where the community had been. There was pieces of debris and really no sign of life. So it was very difficult to access, but it was also very difficult to really see exactly where you needed to be.
And what's needed, Matthew, most urgently now to help people there?
Well, I think the recovery effort has to continue. I mean, if there's anyone alive, there's an urgency to try and reach people as quickly as possible. We're all familiar with stories of people being pulled out, days after a crisis. So hope has to continue. But it's also important for the families, the people who've lost loved ones, to know what happened. It's an important part of the long recovery and healing process. It's maybe a bit indecent to be talking about that now, but it's important that recovery is done and finished and completed. There'll be huge emotional and psychosocial needs for those families and for survivors, making sure that they can process the tremendous grief and fear and shock that follows an emergency like this. And a lot of people have lost their homes. I mean, we're looking at, I've seen numbers of 3,000, perhaps even 5,000 people who've lost their homes. Again, that number can climb. They're going to need very basic support in the coming days. And then, I guess on top of that as well, you have the typical risks that you see during flooding, during heavy rains, disease risks, for example, the risks that increase with stagnant water or when sanitary systems are knocked out of action. So there's a range of assistance that will be needed to support these communities, and we're only just understanding the full extent of the emergency.
Matthew Cochrane from the International Red Cross in Geneva, thank you.